Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, false flag, terror attacks, Bill Gates, Henry Kissinger, New World Order, mind control, Bank of America stealing homes with cut and paste mortgage loans, police, state, taser guns, FEMA camps, mad run, Monsanto rules the food supply while Big Pharma dopes your mind, prison system, profiteers, foundations, fund the fears, fund the evil through the years, the world's not as it appears. CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guide, soldiers written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, I'm Howard Nema, and you're watching Truth Talk News here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. Tonight, Monday, November 19th, 2012, we have horrific goings on in the world. We have some terrible things happening. And while both sides are speaking against tyranny and oppression, it's really a one-sided show. I should say tyranny and aggression, not oppression. Or this really is just a discussion, I guess, of aggression versus oppression. I think that we clearly have a situation here where the mic's a little uncomfortable there. We have a situation here in the Middle East, in Gaza, where the Palestinian people for 65 years have been oppressed. And the real true story of Israel has yet to be shown. The way it has been used to create conflict must be exposed. And the truth is that, again, things are not as they appear. And our government is no better. But the truth is that we have a situation here in the history of Israel and the way that it is founded, what it's founded under, the principles it's founded under, and how they're using controlled opposition, in this case Hamas, to again abolish these people, the Palestinian people. And they can talk all they want about how the Hamas is terrible and they put their missiles near mosques and near where children are so that they bring about horrors. Well, Israel, you're just as culpable by firing the rockets knowing that.
what is your response? You can blow these rockets out of the air, and you do. They shoot up 10 rockets, you fire back 300. I mean, it's not even a question of superiority. It's a question of imposition of will. And who started this conflict? That's where it gets lost. And what about this organization known as Hamas? And what about the history of that? Very similar to the history of Al-Qaeda. Founded by Zbigniew Brzezinski, 1979. In fact, I have a picture here. Some of my press clippings that I took out of Osama. I was going to say Obama. Osama bin Laden, who again, Ted Gunderson sold Osama bin Laden Stinger missiles in 1979. That's on record. Barbara Hartwell exposed that, and many times, and here on Truth Talk News and on We Are Change Connecticut on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. So you have, I'll show you, first of all, this is Abid Khatib, okay? This is what he looks like. Trying to get a better image down here. Closer. I'm on a delay, so it's difficult to see if I'm getting the right image there. Maybe I'll put it on camera. Yeah. Alright, so this guy is the founder of Hamas. Okay? Now, Sheikh Ahmed Hassin is the founder of Hamas. Now, you have to understand that Hamas, unfortunately, is Israel's creation. And, of course, this has been put on record by many people, including Mr. Cohen, a Tunisian-born Jew who worked in Gaza for more than 2 decades. Responsible for religious affairs in the region until 1994, Mr. Cohen watched the Islamic movement take shape, muscle aside secular Palestinian rivals, and then morph into what is today Hamas, a militant group that is sworn to Israel's destruction. Instead of trying to curb Gaza's Islamists from the outset, says Mr. Cohen, Israel for years tolerated and in some cases encouraged them as a counterweight to the secular nationalists of the Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO, and its dominant faction, Yasir Arafat's Fatah. Israel cooperated with a crippled half-blind cleric named Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, even as he was laying the foundations for what would become Hamas. Sheikh Yassin continues to inspire militants today. During the recent war in Gaza, and this is in 2009, ladies and gentlemen, so what do you think it is now? By the way, I should have preambled this. This is how Israel helped spawn Hamas, written by Andrew Higgins in 2009. And Sheikh Yassin continues to inspire militants today during the recent war in Gaza. Hamas fighters confronted Israeli troops with Yassins, primitive rocket-propelled grenades, named in honor of the cleric. And then, of course, we know that Israel announced a halt to their offensive back then. They're now considering ground troops. They're considering more offensive actions against Gaza. The assault was aimed at stopping Hamas's rockets from falling on Israel. Now, this is back in 2009. Now, listen to how this scenario plays over and over and over again. Last Saturday, after 22 days of war, Israel announced a halt to the offensive. In 2009, the assault was aimed at stopping Hamas's rockets from falling on Israel, like they're doing now, like firing them out of the sky. Prime Minister Ehud Olmert hailed a determined and successful military operation. More than 1,200 Palestinians had died. 13 Israelis were also killed. See, this is eugenics. This is genocide. It's a slow and steady genocide against these people. They really are doing it. It's horrible. It's happening, and it's the truth. Okay, so Hamas reported the next day by lobbying 5 rockets towards the Israeli town of Sderot, a few miles down the road from Moshav Takuma, the farming village where Mr. Cohn lives. Hamas then announced its own ceasefire. Since then, Hamas leaders have emerged from hiding and reasserted their control over Gaza. Egypt-mediated talks aimed at more durable truce are expected to start this weekend in 2009. President Barack Obama said this week that lasting calm requires more than a long ceasefire and depends on Israel and a future Palestinian state living side by side in peace and security. Of course, but the opposition to that is Hamas. Okay, so they are controlled by Israel. They were created by Israel, promulgated by Israel. A look at Israel's decades-long dealings with the Palestinian radicals, including some little-known attempts to cooperate with the Islamics, revealed that a catalog of unintended and often perilous consequences. Time and again, Israel's efforts to find pliant Palestinian partners that were both credible and with Palestinians willing to eschew violence have backfired. What a shock. Of course they backfired, intentionally, by design. What would be partners have now turned into foes and have lost the support of their people. Israel's experience echoes that of the United States, which during the Cold War looked to Islamists as a useful ally against communism. Does this sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen? Here's where the Osama bin Laden connection comes. Anti-Soviet forces backed by America after Moscow's 1979 invasion of Afghanistan later mutated into Al-Qaeda. Hamas supporters, of course, in Gaza City are clearly controlled by these same elements. They create the problems, they offer the solution, and it's always the same result: more control and power. Now, it's not about peace, and it's not, well, we offered you all this land and you didn't take it. Of course we're not going to take it because you offered it to us, and it's a game, it's a joke. It's endless war, and meanwhile, bombs blowing people up, killing women and children, innocent people. And it's not the Jews, it's not the Muslims. It's these Illuminati-controlled, these Rothschild-controlled Zionists. But it's not Zionists like, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, it's not like this. I'm trying to use the right terminology. Zionism has been so, like, the word is like, it's so confusing. It's like COINTELPRO. People don't understand. The idea of this evil, deceptive, twisted viewpoint. These are the media attention that's given to Israel, the praise and the controlled media attention, and this fact of the allies and everything else. And it's the same thing with the United Nations. Now, my good friend Benny told me about this, and I haven't had a chance to research the actual number, but I'm going to report it now because it needs to be reported, that there's an executive order that Obama swept under the rug, giving the United Nations authority, again, over our nation. I just can't. I mean, to shut down the internet, to stop a transmission such as Truth Talk News here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. I mean, we're really in a pickle here, ladies and gentlemen. And it's very important what's going on in Gaza. It's the New World Order. And again, this is part of their deindustrialization of the people there. They put them into poverty, into hellish living conditions, and they kill them. And then they force up through this opposition group known as Hamas, like Al-Qaeda. It makes me sick. I can't even watch television because they keep talking about Al-Qaeda. Where did Al-Qaeda come from? Did you ever hear of Al-Qaeda before you heard of Saddam Hussein? That's all I have to say. Oh, God, it's unbelievable. Anyway, I have a very interesting clip here also to play from Ron Paul, where he's talking to the Congress, telling him that Israel created Hamas. And this is also from 2009. But we all have to look to the future, look to the past to understand the present and the future and plan for the future.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Texas, Dr. Paul.
Oh, there's an advertisement. How nice.
You work for Ford, and you're gonna
they're going to give me a Ford commercial. Hold on a second here. I can't even stop it. It's disgusting.
I didn't go to
Ford.
so that I could babysit Shannon Doherty's dog on a yogurt commercial.
Yeah, goodbye. 12 seconds of more misery I have to deal with this. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Harry Link here at truthbroadcastnetwork.com, who's coming up next with Death to the New World Order at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. And all that mayhem is over, and so I will continue here with Ron Paul. Again, right on the Senate floor, right on the, right there. Right there, man, on the Congress, in front of Congress, saying that Israel created Hamas. It's on record, but nobody knows, remembers, or cares, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Here we go.
Speaker, I'd like to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Texas, Dr. Paul.
The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes. Gentlelady for yielding and ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to this resolution, not because I am taking sides and picking who the bad guys are and who the good guys are, but I'm looking at this more from the angle of being a United States citizen, an American, and I think resolutions like this really do us great harm. In many ways, what's happening in the Middle East, and in particular with Gaza right now, we have some moral responsibility for both sides in a way, because we provide help and funding for both Arab nations and Israel. And so we definitely have a moral responsibility, and especially now today, the weapons being used to kill so many Palestinians are American weapons, and American funds essentially are being used for this. But there's a political liability which I think is something that we fail to look at, because too often there's so much blowback from our intervention in areas that we shouldn't be involved in. You know, Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel, because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasir Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first indirectly and directly through Israel help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. You know, it just doesn't make sense. During the 80s, you know, we were allied with Osama bin Laden. And we were contending with the Soviets. It was at that time our CIA thought it was good if we radicalized the Muslim world. So we financed the madrasa schools to radicalize the Muslims in order to compete with the Soviets. There's too much blowback. There's a lot of reasons why we should oppose this resolution. It is not in the interest of the United States. It's not in the interest of Israel either.
That was well said, Dr. Paul. Absolutely true.
If this were a dictatorship, it'd be a heck of a lot easier. Just so long as I'm the dictator.
You tell him, George. You tell him. Unbelievable. Incredible, ladies and gentlemen. Incredible. Yes, again, that was just more information regarding the situation with Gaza that's ongoing. And of course, they first encountered Islamists in Gaza in the 1970s and 80s, and they seemed focused on studying the Quran, not on confronting with Israel. The Israeli government officially recognized a precursor to Hamas called Mujama al-Islamiyah, registering the group as a charity. It allowed Mujamia members to set up an Islamic university and build mosques, clubs, and schools. Crucially, Israel often stood aside when the Islamists and their secular left-wing Palestinian rivals battled, sometimes violently, for influence in both Gaza and the West Bank. When I look back at the chain of events, I think we made a mistake, says David Hachem, who worked in Gaza in the late 80s and early 90s as an Arab affairs expert in the Israeli military. But at the time, nobody thought about the possible results. Israeli officials who served in Gaza disagree on how much their own actions may have contributed to the rise of Hamas. They blamed the group's recent ascent on outsiders, primarily Iran. This view is shared by the Israeli government. Hamas in Gaza was built by Iran as a foundation for power and is backed through funding, through training, and through the provision of advanced weapons, Mr. Olmert said last Saturday. Hamas has denied receiving military assistance from Iran. Well, Ariel Spitzin, the former head of the Israeli military's Department of Palestinian Affairs, says that even if Israel had tried to stop the Islamic sooner, he doubts it could have done much to curb political Islam, a movement that was spreading across the Muslim world. Very true. I mean, that is, and it's still spreading. And this is a promulgated thing. It's being controlled. It's being set up. You can see this. Israel's got their feet in it, and now it's blowback. You want to call it blowback? I call it co-opting. I call it controlled opposition. You can call it what you like. But I think that, it's very important that we all recognize how the public perception is that Israel is in the right and the Palestinians are in the wrong. And meanwhile, all of this truth is here, but nobody addresses it. So I think it's a detriment to our society. It's a detriment to our government. A detriment that we have this corporate citizenship here. Look at these corporations, NBC, CNBC, and all the little peacock organizations going along that, MSNBC, the History Channel, right? All these History Channels, A&E, Biography, Sci-Fi Channel, Sundance Channel, Hulu, all these different corporations that you're looking at right now, okay? All of them, okay, owned by GE, who, by the way, is the largest military-industrial complex provider for the United States government and many other countries. They're internationalists. You see, they don't see the world with national borders. They see a one-world, global world that we can operate around. Everybody can be controlled because they're buying our products worldwide. We can put stuff in the food that we sell worldwide, in the water. God, even the water. Think about it. The water you drink in your bottles give you those PCBs, not the PCBs, the bisphenol A, right? Yeah, in all the water bottles. Oh, so many ways to sterilize you. Public water supply given fluoride worldwide, except it was taken out in Europe and all the major industrialized countries because they realized that it's poison. But no, in America we still have it because of GE controlling us here with the MSNBC. And then you can't forget, of course, the the grid between Reed Elsevier owning Comcast Cable and all these other globalist organizations, conglomerates that own the media. Not a surprise, is it, ladies and gentlemen? Really shouldn't be too much of a surprise. This is what we're under. You know, what's going on in Israel continues. It's an ongoing thing that happened before I was even born. In fact, I was born the year of the 1967 war, because that's the year I was born. And look at that. Look at the way Israel is perceived and the truth and what actually occurred and who was there and what happened and what's happening now. Things are not as they appear. After the 1948 establishment of Israel, the Muslim Brotherhood, of course, which had its setup of in Egypt in 1928, so it's got a long, long history, recruited fellow followers in Palestine and in the refugee camps in Gaza and elsewhere, but secular activists came to dominate the Palestinian national movement. And at the time, Gaza was ruled by Egypt. The country's then president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, was a secular nationalist who brutally repressed the Brotherhood. In 1967, Nasser suffered a crushing defeat when Israel triumphed in the Six-Day War, which I just mentioned. Israel took control of Gaza and also the West Bank. "We were all stunned," said Palestinian writer and Hamas supporter Azam Tamimi. He was at school at the time in Kuwait and says he became close to a classmate named Khalid Mashal, who was now Hamas's Damascus-based political chief. The Arab defeat provided the Brotherhood with a big opportunity, said Mr. Tamimi. In Gaza, Israel hunted down members of Fatah and other secular PLO factions, but it dropped harsh restrictions imposed on Islamic activists by the territory's previous Egyptian rulers. Now, it's interesting because when I was a kid growing up, a young kid, like younger than my son, who's going to be 14, I remember all this in the 70s, PLO, even as a kid. It's very funny, and you look back and you remember how things are. And now you look at how these things are all controlled, and what's happened now, the Muslim Brotherhood, led in Gaza by Sheikh Yassin, was freed to spread the message that they have here, which, of course, in 1964, it was the backbone of the PLO, and it was responsible for hijackings and all that other bad, evil stuff that was going on, which you can't deny, was absolutely abhorrent. But it gave, I guess, our intelligence agencies the idea to, wow, this is a great idea. We can utilize this to control populations and make wars and do all sorts of evil shit. So that's really the truth. Bombings and, well, let's remember again. Going all these. What about the Bologna bombings? The Red Brigade, the CIA, and it goes on and on and on. Yeah, we're involved. We're culpable. We cause all of this. All of these wars are caused by these evil criminals that want to sell weapons and death and depopulate. I can't even stand it anymore. And I guess I can't really go into this too much longer. Thank God I have a break in a moment. Now, in the second half, I'll go over some more information here that we have regarding the fact that Hamas is a creation of the Mossad, basically, and it is basically the truth, absolutely the truth. And I have quite a bit of other information, cover some more news, maybe we'll hit some Drudge Report or some other postings on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. Now again, anybody out there, you can subscribe to as a post, you can post, start posting your own information and sharing information on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. It's not just, it's multimedia. We have radio, video, live shows like this, and we have articles and great writers and people putting information out, and it's just an amazing way for you to get your voice out and to share the information that you have. Again, seek the truth, find the truth. There's only one truth, and that is the truth, and there's only one truth and only one way to find it. You have to seek it out, research it, find your own truth, then share it with everyone you know, and keep letting this message grow. Because people are beginning to wake up that these politicians are criminals. Obama's a shill, but the sheep are very hard. You really got to bang the sheep over the head. Some of them, you really do have to bang the sheep over the head. And I think that sometimes we forget that it's a dangerous world, and we have to try to accomplish it. Be right back.
Department of Homeland Security requests that everybody stay in their homes.
You're watching Truth Talk News on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. Stay tuned for more truth the mainstream media ignores in just a moment. By the way, Fritz Springmeier will be our guest here on Truth Talk News in the near future. I'm Howard Nema, and you're watching TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. Was happy to hear that Vinny and I had contacted him several months ago, and that now he was working on a book, and maybe he's finished it, and we can dig into that a little bit. By far one of the most interesting people I've ever had the pleasure of speaking with, and certainly look forward to more information and some questions to be answered about the New World Order. Again, we must be the change we wish to see in the world. Hamas is a change seen in the world. Again, thanks to the Mossad, Israel's Institute for Intelligence and Special Tasks, Hamas was allowed to reinforce its presence in the occupied territories. Meanwhile, Arafat's Fatah movement for national liberation, as well as the Palestinian left, were subjected and subjugated to the most brutal form of repression and intimidation, which is what we speak of and what I have a problem with. I have not a problem with one Israeli citizen, except those that impose and support tyranny against any other human being. So I'm glad that I printed out a bunch of stuff, because I would never be able to verbally get this out without some sort of a track to run on. But it is this totalitarian nation, this growth of authoritarianism, ethnic cleansing, whatever you want to call it. Armenia, Serbia, Herzegovina. It's just a terrible form of the influence of the New World Order and how they are working. I mean, this is a Luciferian. This is really, literally, ladies and gentlemen, I know people like that. What are you talking about? It's good versus evil. The New World Order is the moniker or the slogan of evil. And they speak it as it's good and it's beneficial and benevolent for society and humanity, while they poison us with chemtrails. They poison our food, GMO food, causing sterility over 3 generations, causing intestinal problems like my friend Benny is suffering from now. He was telling me he's out in the state of Nevada, that there's a new chemtrail that they're spraying over there in that neck of the woods that is like a yellow haze, and it's leaving like a yellow haze on the city that he lives in. And he's sick. And I don't know if others are sick, but I know friends of mine and friends of my wife, we're in our early 40s. We shouldn't be having friends that are dying and sick of cancer and other ailments. You know, they prolong life for a generation to dupe the next generation that they'll have long life. And we need to do this so that we can prolong life. But meanwhile, our actual mortality rates are going down and life expectancy is going down. and thousands of people are killed by these organizations. Like the CIA is, America is just as culpable. I'm not bashing Israel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not bashing the people of America either. But the government, the controlling factors, it's the same people. I mean, the people that are behind Israel, the reason why Israel and America are so tight is because it's the Rothschild and Rockefeller alliance, the Anglo-American empire with England and the Netherlands, that whole area. That's the truth. That is the truth. And they are using us as the muscle, stealing our wealth, exploiting us, and depopulating us slowly. And many are really not happy with the rate. They need to have a faster rate of depopulation. So they're putting all these drugs out on the market that cause cancer as a side effect. But they say, ask your doctor. He'll tell you it's okay because the studies that we put together and put in Lancet and Cell magazine, which are Reed Elsevier publications. Again, Reed Elsevier, big holding company of all this big propaganda operation. Yeah. So Hamas is a creation of the Mossad. The Islamists set up orphanages and health clinics and all these networks of schools and workshops, and they had this whole thing together, working with, trying to put something together with respect to like being, I guess, I hate to use the word westernized, but to increase their value, their stock value, for lack of a better word. But you had, by the end of 1992, this Islamic universities that they had put up. There were about 600 mosques in Gaza using these university systems to infiltrate and to get the folks to live and believe this propagandized drivel, this COINTELPRO information. That's the truth. I mean, that's it, in a nutshell. And in 1984, Ahmed Yassin was arrested and condemned to 12 years in prison after the discovery of hidden arms caches. He, of course, was set free and resumed his activities only a year later because he was important in this operation to keep the Hamas moving forward, to keep the oppositions every once in a while. They kill. It's just beautiful, and to keep the populations down. I'm sure the one thing they probably do for the Palestinians, I haven't checked this out, but they probably do give them health care and say, well, we give them health care. Can't you see that? We're good to these Palestinians, We're very happy to give them health care, and they can get their flu shots, and they can get all their proper vaccines and all the things that are necessary. Yes, that's the truth. It's absolutely absurd, and it's absolutely evil. But here, right here, another great fact I will show on a camera shot. That is Zbigniew Brzezinski and Osama bin Laden in 1979. Isn't that nice? I should have pulled up the video. I couldn't probably have done that. I'm working on getting better graphics. I'm promising the new year to have a much better produced show. I apologize for any technical problems we've had over the last year, but it's been a hell of a year, hasn't it, everybody? I mean, honestly, really. I mean, it's incredible. First of all, what Harry Link has done is just outstanding. Getting this network to where it is. And then on my personal level, with my shows and what we're doing here with We Are Change Connecticut, and Jeff Durkin is just amazing again, and all the great people that have contributed to the network, everybody that's sharing their information, and again, on behalf of Barbara Hartwell, who gave me permission to post anything that I'd like, I post all her work and I support her, and she is, again, a great source of truth and information and knowledge. So you should check out Barbara Hartwell versus CIA. Again, her work is exposed Ted Gunderson and others who are absolutely evil. Alex Jones. And again, I try not to bash Alex Jones, but I just can't help it, because it's just so wicked how he deceives people. He deceived me for so long. I was so sickened to wake up to Alex Jones. But as I said, truth, like cream, ladies and gentlemen, rises to the top. And only true seekers of truth, and only people that really have the spirit of truth, God, whatever you want to call it, the Holy Spirit, you can call it whatever you want, a higher power of understanding that truth is indisputable. And any time that you waver from the truth, you turn your back on God or that higher power. So, people like Zbigniew Brzezinski, who have turned their back on God. It's interesting how I love it. Look how he's there with Osama. Look at that with the shotgun. Look at that, unbelievable. I mean, it's just like, you just can't believe that he would have the audacity to be such a scumbag. He's such a weakling scum. He's going to I have a gun. Let me take this good publicity shot with Osama bin Laden. Again, remember, he was the most wanted man in the world. And he was found by a CNN camera crew. Peter Arnett. Incredible truth. The CIA, the NSA, the entire intelligence community couldn't find him, but a camera crew found him. He died 1,000 deaths. He probably died in December of 2001, actually, from his conditions that he had. He had medical problems with his kidneys, or soon after. Certainly not killed in this whole charade. In this whole bullshit story is really what I should call it, with what happened near the CIA house in Pakistan. Yeah, and they found no problem. I guess he must have had a kidney transplant. I guess his wives, they took everything else they had there. And did you ever meet his wives? Did you ever get any statements? Have they been on television? Did they show you anything about him? No. They just disappeared into the woodwork. Like the bullshit story. Buried in the tradition of Muslim law. At sea. Excuse me. That probably hurt your ears. Anyway, I apologize. But, again, I can't even... It's just hysterical. I mean, the people could buy this horse shit. It's just out... I mean... Yes, he was. And then, of course, everybody involved in the SEAL team died because they were patriots and they crashed in that helicopter. And if you talk about get the government, you're a communist bastard. Yeah, that's right. If you don't tell the truth, you're a communist bastard. That's right. You're not American if you don't believe everything the government tells you. And then they take your life away. American. You gotta defend these criminal bankers so they take all your money, and take all your wealth and your property, and sell your loans and you can't pay for it. And do it. Keep getting in debt. Don't worry about all the police people coming and taking all your shit. Now there was a wild rant. I don't even know where that came from, but I was ranting because of these evil criminals, the skull and boners, all these scum, and then the dumb sheep that don't pay attention to anything. It's unbelievable. They're just more interested in all sorts of things that have nothing to do with reality, and they buy everything they read. So just tell them the truth. I mean, radiation is nutritious. I mean, come on. It is, right? Wow, there's the 2-minute warning. What a shock. I've been ranting all day. Well, we'll be talking a little more about Israel and Gaza as things unfold this week, getting closer to the holidays. I want to thank you. I'm Howard Nema here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com with Truth Talk News. Join me tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, stay tuned for Harry Link with Death to the New World Order. And this is We, the People, by my band As Your Soul, playing at the Winchester, Torrington, Connecticut, this Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look at Bernanke, isn't that just hysterical? Look at that face. He can stand there with his hand there lying with a straight face. Criminal. Clinton. Looks how high there. Clinton looks like he's all coked up. He probably was. See you tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Until we meet again.
Every time I try to speak my mouth
See you tomorrow night, everybody. Now, Harry Link with Death to the New World Order.